Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Jo number ILP-206CP. This is a chrome-plated latch guard is what this is. And the Jo ILP is a latch protector that is what's referred to as an in-swing latch protector, or ILP. The majority of latch protectors certainly are not in-swing variants, but Jo does have this version for an in-swing. And they have it in two different sizes, the 06 for 6-inch and the 212 for 12-inch. The 06 would be appropriate if you were to have a single lock. Nothing would prevent you from having a taller one as well, the 212, but a 212 would be appropriate for 2 locks. And that's what it looks like. This is going to be available in different finishes, and let's take a look at what those are, in addition to, of course, the 212 and the 206 sizes. Pulling it up on the screen here. Okay, we have BP for brass plated, CP for chrome plated, which is this one, DU for dark bronze, and then SL for silver. Silver would be like an aluminum type of paint. Your other ones are going to be your CP, and here's what it looks like out of the package. Will be somewhat reflective. This is chrome, and the BP will be the same sort of reflectivity, but just in a brass tone. And the DU will be a dark bronze color that would emulate, it'd be compatible with oil rub bronze generally. So the in-swing latch protector, and there is a link below this video to some documents that we'll get into. But an in-swing latch protector like this is specifically intended to guard against manipulation of the latch bolt on an in-swinging door. Very typical and common. In residential type construction, wood doors, wood frames, especially in condo work, sometimes that construction can be quite shoddy in the sense that a common tactic is a thief can walk into a space with a 2x4, cut to the right length, and put that into the hinge jamb, force down the other side, and literally bow the frame out so much that they can just push the door right open. So that when they close all that up again, you can generally not tell that anyone's been there. In-swinging latch protectors will not only serve to do a good job at keeping that locked together so it can't be spread, but certainly at a very minimum, they provide a visual deterrence to break-in. And I've sold these to people. There's one break-in in a building, and all of a sudden you've got 50 customers, is how that generally works out. There's been stories, West Loop area of Chicago during the condo craze many years ago, which went on for a long time, but, you know, notorious. There would be 10 break-ins with no obvious detection of break-in at one time. Latch protectors pretty much solve that, even though I guess, you know, a proper thief, I suppose, wouldn't go back to the scene of the crime. Nonetheless, latch protectors. Inexpensive and easy to install, that's the key. So there is a link below this video to a document called Template. Let's go over the dimensional properties first. There's a U-shaped channel. That is the door portion. That's where the 6 comes in. Now, it's not quite 6, but it's close, about 5 7/8. Has an overall width of about 5/8, even though the template calls out 9/16. The offset bar, that's the frame portion. That is an actual 5 7/8. Has an overall width of about 1 inch and 3/16. Give you an idea of the gauge of the material. I don't see that drawn anywhere here. 0.075, 075. Oh, it is there actually, 14 gauge, 075. The caliper exactly matches that. So the way that this works, and there is the next link below this video to a document called Installation Instructions. That is literally what's on the back of your packaging, literally. I've installed these. I can tell you that installing this is something that you're going to want to be careful of installing. What I mean to say is you're going to have the ability to get this right, or you're going to have the chance that it will unfortunately take more work than necessary. Here's what I mean by that. This design from Jo has 2 screws that will hold this to the face of the door. It has 3 screws that will hold this to the jamb. When you are in the closed position, from your perspective, the door will swing in this way. Okay? From your perspective out in the hall, you can see the head of those screws. You can't on the door portion because that's locking it up. Even though you'll see part of the screws, you won't be able to get to them. Those screws on the frame, you can see. That's admitted. Having installed the first one in not exactly the right place, I can tell you that it's all but impossible to remove that screw from the face portion. That one-way feature renders it almost impossible to remove that. You sure won't do it elegantly. The point of that is, some people will say, I don't want that model because I can see the head of the screws. Okay, it took me 20 minutes to get the thing out one time. I can pretty much promise a thief is not going to stand there and try to turn that one-way screw out. They don't come out. There are other designs that feature 2 U-shaped channels that really conceal the heads of all the screws, and then they give you standard fasteners. 6 half dozen the other. I would not personally hesitate to use this model. And if you wanted to take it a step further, I suppose, put a little grinder onto the head of that screw and be done with it. It won't come out. Not without more grinding. Why you have to be cautious is when you apply the U-channel to the face of the door, you need to make sure that there's enough room for the door to make contact and latch given the thickness of the U-channel, which means you don't place this on the jamb and let the door make contact with it because you've not left enough room for the thickness of this item, which 0.75. It's more than a 16th. You really need to let that breathe a little bit when you're installing it. Meaning you're going to hold that back on the jamb. When you have the door in the closed position, make sure you're holding that onto the face of the door before you position where you're going to pre-drill these screws. There are not slotted holes involved here. So you want to make sure that it's in the right position and mark and then pre-drill your holes. Now what some people will even do is you can take a piece of shim, something that's basically 75 thousandths, maybe a little bit thicker, and place it between, if you're going to put that on the door or this onto the frame, you're going to want to have a shim applied to the face of the door. You know, you can use the door channel itself. That'd be no problem. So the point of the matter is you kind of need to do a reality check when you're installing this to make sure that everything fits exactly correctly, because you can't move this at all once it's installed. Could you, I suppose, grind the face of that down? I suppose you could. You wouldn't want to have to do that, though. So door closed, get things applied to the face of the door and do so in such a way that you can then test the operation. Now what they do, though, to assist you in doing that is you're going to get 2 flathead screws. These are going to be for the door portion, right into the face of the door. Okay. You're then going to get 6 other screws. You're going to get the one-way screws. You'll get 3 of these. But you're going to get 3 typical slotted screws. These are the temporary screws. You want to install that and have a way out should you need to reposition. You'll use the 3 slotted slotted screws. Once you're really satisfied with the location of the frame portion, then put your one-way screws in. Okay. You could leave the slotted one there, slotted screws there, I suppose, but the one-ways are what are intended to be there, and that's exactly what those are for. Closed, the inner lock completely protects your lock from forced entry. I'm reading the installation instructions. Again, back of the packaging. As you open your door, the interlock's unique 2-piece design will not interfere with the working function of your door or lock. It won't, as long as you space it properly. Use 2 short screws for alignment during the installation. Replace each short screw with the security fastener for permanent installation. So what they're saying is you don't have to install all 3. You really need, you might get away with just 1 if you've got that completely vertical. Okay, but that's why those extra fasteners are there, that's for sure. Like I said, I've installed these. They're easy to install, and they're really easy work to install. So if you're a locksmith, This is a profitable service to provide a profitable service and a very valuable service to provide your client. The only thing you want to be really sure of is that you pre-drill your holes. You don't want to split the frame or the door. That sort of problem is going to be a major problem. All you have to do is pre-drill the holes. Use very well-fitting screwdrivers. Make sure that you have total control over that that security fastener that one way when you're installing it. If you don't pre-drill, you run the risk of splitting the door and frame. That is not something that you're going to be able to easily fix for your client at all. The body of the screw, less the threads, is generally what I was taught in terms of your size. I've come to learn that the drill size should be about 20% less than the root diameter of the screw. The point of the matter is pre-drill. Don't dare run that straight in. I can guarantee you'll split the jamb. That'll be a major problem. Finally, well, almost finally, tantamount, there is a link below this video to the product catalog. Now that will allow you to review all of the latch protectors from Jo. I would encourage you to review that document. While you're not really going to see any other in-swinging versions, you'll certainly be enlightened as to how much variety there is when it comes to out-swinging versions. There are latch protectors for probably every different variant of application that you can think of. Now, the name Jo, if you know them at all, you probably know them for latch protectors or their door reinforcing wraparound plates. But the link below this video to the manufacturer's page, finally, is a place where you're going to find not only all of the Jo products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. I'm partial to Jo, and it's because they have a relatively petite footprint within the industry, but what they do a really great job on. And in the rare occasions that they make an error, they make it good immediately. They're really great about that. It's nice to be able to deal with an old-fashioned company. They've been in business for decades, and I wouldn't hesitate to suggest that you consider them. Any questions on the ILP 206 and a CP finish or any other Jo product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.